Okay, here is an article. It has nothing to do with these girls, believe it. Mother who killed her 8-week old twin daughter and left the other with long life disabilities is allowed to work alongside children to create footy banners for her favorite team. Here, all you guys who go on about caring about children. This has never been about children. Mother who violently attacked 8-week-old daughter, working with children. Tina Terlato assaulted her 8-week-old daughters, Alicia and Amanda, in 2012. Oh my God, that's a long time ago. So severe was the abuse that Amanda died while Alicia still suffers disabilities. She's been giving working with children permit to employment with the AFL team. Terlato is helping her favorite team, Essendon, design and create banners. Wow. Wow. So not even a criminal record is stopping this woman. A mother who violently attacked her 8-week-old daughters, killing one, has been granted working permit to work with that. Yeah, I just repeated that. Okay. She killing her daughter Amanda inside her suburban home in Melbourne. Oh, Australia rears its ugly head again. Oh my God. She also brutally assaulted Amanda's twin sister, who suffered lifelong disabilities. And of course, she has been given a work permit, of course. A decision that has left the father of her children disgusted. I guess he should be. He's completely disgusted that the legal system is this biased. Every time I see her face when she poses up with AFL players or when I hear about her attending games, it just brings back bad memories. I imagine Paul Terlato told the Herald Sun. I'm shocked. I'm not shocked. I'm disgusted. I am. I'm angry. I am. Essendon Football Club and the AFL need to stop her membership and refuse her entry anywhere in Australia. But she's so cute. How are these guys going to refuse her? And there's her little darlings. One of them is still alive. Oh, well, here we are. She is murdered. But instead, okay. Terlato was charged with murder, but instead pleaded guilty on an account of infanticide, was sentenced to 12-month community corrections order. So side meets murder. So they killed the children, but it's not considered murder. The new role sees her helping to design and construct a banner players run through before games, a job that often includes child volunteers. Hey guys, you notice how everyone's so concerned about the children? It's not known how someone with the convictions like Terlato was able to obtain a work with children permit, which are only handed to people with no prior offenses. I know she's a woman. That's it. That's it. The legal system in all first world countries have become so biased that this is the effect. In a letter sent by Essendon to its members over the hiring of Terlato, the club said criminal convictions don't prohibit people from becoming members of the club. I don't believe this. I suspect if her husband had killed these children, he wouldn't be allowed, and they would be saying that he's a criminal. Male criminals are ousted from everything. And these people, knowing what she did, is allowing her. This is outrageous. Passing a police background check is not a requirement. All members of the bomber squad are required to pass a working with children check in order to participate in activities like banner making, the letter obtained by the Herald Sun said. So they're making a check. They're finding out she's a child murderer. And they're saying, well, whatever. Good enough for us. If a member's status ever changes, then we would act accordingly. Oh my God. I suppose what it is she's not officially a criminal. The court system didn't make her one. That's what it is. The plight of Torlato twins was secret until a suppression order was lifted late 2019. So she murdered them in 12. It was 7 years before people were at least allowed to talk about it, allowing their family to finally voice their anger at the sentence Tina received. Why was this suppression given for so long? This is absolutely disgusting. The twins' aunt Michelle Torlato was called for the infanticide law to be scrapped in Victoria, and with states, including Western Australia, doing so in recent years. It is a push that has now received supports from victims' advocates. What it is the women in the family say, you can't do this to me. That's my little girl. And that's why they're pushing for it. But what angers me is that these women only do it on an individual basis. What they're really thinking is, you can do this, women can do this to other people's children, but not mine. That's what it is. Introduced in England in 1920s, of course, the industrial age, that's when first wave feminists came around. That's when countries started to develop to the point where they were going to give women all these privileges that men don't have. Infanticide intended to show women who killed their children would not be charged with murder and therefore sentenced to death. So they went from sentencing them to death to letting them off scot-free. What? There's no in between. Over the years, it was subsequent. I'm bugging that up. I'm not even going to bother. Introduced in Victoria, New South Wales, Tasmania, and Western Australia. After review by its Law Review Commission, Western Australia repealed it in 2008. While the age limit of a child victim in the Victoria is 2 years, elsewhere it stands at 12 months. Oh my God. So I guess by those times you could consider them human enough, you know. I know people argue about a child when they're in the womb, but they're out of the womb now. There's no excuse. If a man murdered a child out of the womb, he couldn't ever use this excuse. Society gave that law to let women off scot-free. It cares about grown women over children, and always did. Infanticide is an implicable charge for mothers found to be of a disturbed mind. As such, it was used in the case of Tina Torlato due to claims of postnatal depression. And this is the other thing, guys, if men suffered some kind of mental, elapse and attacked their children, they wouldn't let them near them. You know what they did do? They would say, fathers aren't allowed near their children for a year. That's what they would say. But the fact that this happens so often and the mothers are allowed shows you that this is just excuse making. This is just them saying, yes, the child is not a person. It's an object that belongs to the mother, and the mother can do whatever they like to the child. While she understands the intention of such a law, her former sister-in-law, Michelle Torlato, believes it has been rendered archaic over time and devalues the lives of young children. She's right about everything except for the archaic. It should never have been put into place. It should never. Joe Tucci, CEO of Australia Childhood Foundation, agrees. Well, that's good to hear. Mr. Tucci lobbied hard for the Victorian Law Reform Commission to repeal the law in 2004 and believes now the time for infanticide to be once again be scrutinized. Well, come on. What do you mean scrutinized? He should have said tossed, dumped. Scrutinized suggests that it had some kind of value in the past. It never did. is incumbent on the law to put children first when they're trying to protect and get justice for them. Well, that's good to hear. The fact that there's an infanticide law, it's an outdated law. See, he's doing it too. It's not an outdated law. It's something that should never been put into law. From my point of view, in the sense of the supports we have available for people now, well, he at least admitting that there's really no excuse now, but there never was, as far as I'm concerned. The most important essential tenet of the law is to protect the most vulnerable. And in these situations, the most vulnerable has to be the babies. Well, that's, like I said, well, that's good to hear. But whatever he says, what's actually being said is that women trump every other aspect, other type of human being out there. They're above children and they're above men. Now, let's see. I think there should be greater penalty for children who are the most vulnerable. The younger the child, the more severe the penalty, not the other way around. Good way to think. But it's not just Tina Turlato who has avoided jail in recent years for killing a child. Sofina Nitka, 23, killed a 14-month-old baby girl, Sanaya, inside her home and then took it to a nearby Darabin Creek. While she admitted to the police that she believed the daughter was possessed, Nitka pleaded not guilty to the murder. Psychiatrists agreed that Nitka was not mentally fit, and like Tina Toledo, they received a sentence of 12 months community corrections order. If she's so nuts that she killed a child and thought it was this, that, or another thing, why is she only getting 12 months? Why should she be put away and locked away in the, throwing away the key? Or at least for years and years. What it is, like again, this was all an excuse to let women murder their babies when they didn't want them. The deaths of Amanda Toledo and Sanaya Nikat, I'm getting it right for once, have both come in the years since the review with the infanticide law in Victoria was carried out. In 2004, the Victorian Law Reform Commission was asked to determine whether the infanticide law should be repealed or altered, but ultimately advised the then Labour government against any change, of course. They're always going to prioritize grown women over children. If you're a girl child, those children, if they had made it to puberty, they would have been all right. Because then they would have gained status as the ultra humans. But as just girl children, they are disposable. The VLCR found that the death of a toddler in the hands of his mother is a distinct kind of human tragedy. Well, that's actually a distinct kind of human crime that gets unpunished and then therefore happens. Since then, Western Australia has repealed the law, with one of the main reasons for a decision being that any magistrate or judge should take the mental health of an accused into consideration anyway when sentencing. A similar review of New South Wales in 97 saw the review commission advise that the law be repealed. However, it was retained by the government. Yeah, notice these government people, these guys high up, they're always doing this. I can't say they're all conservatives or whatever. It doesn't matter if they're conservatives. They could be liberals, but they always prioritize grown women over children. Michelle Toronto said something has to be done to stop similarly pathetic sentences such as was handed down to Tina Toledo. Good. I'm glad she said that. Notice Michelle is the one they're quoting and not her father, the kid's father, because it basically takes women to fight other women. As we as a family feel that babies' lives and children's lives don't really count that much, she said. She's right. I feel like I'm justified in saying this because I'm a woman. There you go. This woman just who's speaking, Michelle, just basically said that men don't have any rights to say this. I feel like it's hard for men to say this because they all get shot down simply because they are men. Exactly. She's right about this. But I think infanticide is very sexist and archaic law. how is it sexist? Since she's right. It is sexist in the way that it lets women off the hook. I was going to say, how is it sexist as children are both male and, boys and girls, but I see what she means. It was brought into to protect women with babies who were unwed hundreds of years ago and were shunned by society or had no choice but to kill their newborn. But it didn't come until 1920. So a mere 100 years ago, beyond that, they saw this as a real crime, right? There's certainly no excuse these days to feel that you're in that position. There was never an excuse, Edwin. Not that I have the support and care to be able to look after a newborn. We have been fighting really hard for the Victorian governments to look at the law of infanticide and possibly get rid of the law. We really feel it's not appropriate anymore. Wow, this is softball language. We don't feel baby murder is appropriate anymore. Women scream for equality, but when it comes to things like this, they don't want it. Well, duh. Well, you can't have it both ways. I disagree. I think Ms. Tolato did get it both ways, and women do get it both ways. And there's more of this article, but I would say you guys can go read it for yourself. When her father holds high hopes that the improvement of recent years will go on, he prepared to be by her side. Oh, he's talking about the daughter who survived. But like I said, guys, do you ever notice most of the quotes come from Michelle? And she's right, because they don't give a shit about what the father says. He's a subhuman to society. And all these men in the governments, they agree. So this is what we're up against, gentlemen. This is how society sees us everywhere. I mean, Australia is pretty bad, but it's just worse of a very bad lot. This is human nature we're talking about. Okay, everyone, goodbye.